I'm here with Mohamed Lattoui today. He and I are very close friends. We met each other in Indiana University, and he's a phenomenal athlete and even better person. And I just had the pleasure of knowing him. We met there, and we've been since lifelong friends. And I just love to have everybody have a chance to get to meet Mohamed, learn a little bit about his experiences and what he went through during his swimming career. Mohamed, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Can you introduce yourself and give us a little information on your background?
Hello, John. Well, as you said, Mohamed Lattoui. I'm a Moroccan swimmer. I swam for my country, and then I got good enough to go swim in France, and then got good enough to be pledged by a U.S. team. So yeah.
Really great. So we're going to find some things out about what your experiences are growing up, how they differ in some cases. If you notice, at least it can come from the American side that I've seen, and kind of contrast a few things. But first question I have is, this is kind of interesting because I swam and grew up in the YMCA in swimming, and that's how I got started. I'm guessing you don't have a lot of YMCAs over there. So how did you get started there?
Well, John, like most kids like you, I started in the closest pool to home. It was my hometown pool. And I started recreationally like all the kids. But I loved the water so much that when my parents would come and get me at the end of the day, they wouldn't find me because I would have snuck into a group of Pee-wee school for practicing with them. And then so they enrolled me into the team, and I started spending the whole day in the pool, and then ending up with a workout at the end with the Pee-wee team.
And so was there a lot of kids in the water there at the time, or what was it like?
Well, yeah, it was a lot of kids, very little equipment. I remember my first kicking board was a wooden kicking board.
Oh my gosh. A wooden kicking board. That's cool.
Yeah, and we were a lot. We would swim with because we were so many, and it was fun. It wasn't workouts. It was like a school for Pee-wee swimmers. Then once you get better, then you can be put in another group and so on until you reach the top group.
And you know, were you born in 1962 as well? I was born in 62.
61 and November 61. Yeah, I'm like 4 months older than you.
Right. That's okay. So and then is there a lot of you're in Rabat? Is that right? Did you grow up in Rabat too, or?
Yeah, I grew up in Rabat. Not much. I left my family very early. I left. First, I left to military school when I was 11. Then by the age of 15, I left again to swim in France. After France, I went to the US. So I didn't stay much at home in my hometown.
Got it. So does everybody go into the military school at that age, or was something you...
No, just just the ones that parents can't handle.
Oh, okay. You were one of those too, huh? Got it. And you have a bunch of sisters too, is that right?
Yeah, I have 4 sisters. I'm the second one.
Oh.
And I have 4 sisters.
Yeah, I saw some of the incredible, one of your sisters does, I think, incredible dresses, right? Just amazing, beautiful dresses, right?
Yeah.
You were showing
my sister Nizha she's like a very good tailor for Moroccan dresses, and she does some really good pieces. Like
I was so impressed. They're like pieces of art. It's like
they are.
Yeah. Really, really beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
And so
she's got all that talent from my mom.
I was going to ask you, did she learn how to do that from your mom?
Yeah, my mom was very talented. She didn't take any classes or nothing, but she would sew and an evening dress, pants. I mean, anything she would like.
Wow, that's fantastic. So
I remember once she sewed. My sister had this party to attend, and she needed a fancy dress, and she made her the dress overnight.
Unbelievable, right? What parents will do for their children, right?
And she spent the whole night and the whole day onto that, and she made a beautiful dress.
Wow, wow. So let me ask you, what do you like most about swimming? Since you've been, I mean, you've lived your whole life with swimming, right? And even later when you got out of swimming, your mind's always on swimming your whole life, isn't it?
Yeah, well, true. I started swimming early. I mean, very early, like probably at 3 or 4. I remember by the age of 4.5, I wasn't able to float, but I would cross the pool underwater. That's how much I loved it. I remember when I was like at that age, there was no fear of water, even though I didn't know how to swim. And I would swim with my older sister. She would help me float and everything. And when she's tired, she would go sunbathe, and I would like to swim. And she goes, "No, you won't go until I want to go again. And I don't feel like going yet." And I would just let her until she's nice and hot and well tanned and well oiled. And then I would just run into the deep end and jump. And once in the air, I just scream her name and then wait for her in the bottom. And then I would wait patiently till she comes and takes me
Oh
out.
my God. Now I see why they send you to military school. Out of here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your major achievements, because you've had some amazing achievements. I remember when you were in Indiana with us, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you had left and you had some phenomenal achievements in the African Games, if I'm right. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to be already had spent a year and a few months with IU team and their dog Counsilman, and I got well prepared, and I never been so well prepared actually, and I never felt so strong, and I never been so serious about the
I remember when you
swimming.
got in shape for that. You just that was it. You just went
I
out.
know, I know, and I didn't recognize how serious I got all of a sudden for. And during this championships, during the whole stay over there, I was like incredibly into it, concentrated. And of course, the results came, got 4 gold medals, 2 African records and those were my, probably talk about it later.
Yeah, I remember. I think you were considered one of the top athletes of Africa, of all Africa, if I'm right.
Yeah, I don't remember the year, I think in 81 or that same year, 80, the Equipe magazine, which is a very big sports newspaper in Europe, have placed me best African record, best African athlete in all athletes.
And you have to realize, folks, if you're listening to this, if you think about the great Kenyan runners, right, and they're absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, at that time there was also Awita, our Moroccan
Right,
star,
right. Out of
and
all,
somehow they chose me over him because of that achievement at the
right,
African Championships, I guess.
the incredible athletes there, and Mohammed was considered the #1 athlete of all there, which is just amazing. So I was tremendously impressed by that. Yep. And so yeah, so if you can just tell us a little bit about your journey to get up to where you were swimming at this level and things like that. So you started as a young kid, and then what happened that all of a sudden you got into the teams? I guess you were better than the other kids, and what happened from there?
Well, I had this immense luck. I mean, I was just a normal average swimmer, nothing special with my team and my peers. And this year, and one year, I mean, this French coach, I mean, all the coaches back then in Morocco were just like sports people that like swimming. I mean, they didn't have the right formation, the right knowledge, and the science behind it. But I was lucky enough that this French coach came to teach in this new sport institute that we just opened here in Rabat, and he came to teach swimming. And he volunteered his work to work. When he saw me, he liked my style, he liked the swimmer, and he wanted to work with me, and he volunteered his time and coached me like he, the right way. I mean, amazingly, because he was there all the time, sometimes twice a day. Sometimes he couldn't come. He would give me the special practices so I can do it by myself. He made me. There were no heated pool back then. I was one of the first Moroccans to swim all year round, because this guy went to the
so he had a
Hilton Hotel,
tremendous
which had a
on your life.
heated pool, and he got the director to give us permission to use the pool after 6, and that's how we did it.
So he had a tremendous impact on your life.
Oh yeah, well, he was the Mohammed swimmer. I mean, without him, I would not have been able to go to France, and
Oh, the
I
connection.
would not have been able to get there.
Wow,
That's how important is the coach.
right. Wow. So then you got to go to France and swim in France. Is that right? From Morocco?
Yeah.
And there's a big connection between France and Morocco, as I remember.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of connection because between Morocco and France in sports, and between the two governments. And because of that, I was able to go to train in France with the national team as a Moroccan. They accepted it in an exchange between the two governments of sports.
Wow. And then from there, how'd you get over to the U.S.? And before you answer that question, I remember something. I might be wrong. You have a number of different languages that you speak, if I'm right.
Well, not that much. I speak Arabic, Moroccan, French, English, some German.
Which
I
language do you
understand
like
Spanish.
Wow, that's amazing. And I remember something because and I'll talk about it once you got to Indiana, but it was just, I think, phenomenal. You've got an incredible brain. So we'll talk about it in a second. Go ahead. So how'd you get over to the U.S.?
Yeah, well, then in France, I worked real hard again, and I swam at this international swim team in the winter, and I was the fastest French swimmer in it.
So you went from being the fast Moroccan swimmer to the fastest French swimmer.
Exactly.
Whatever country you slap on your back on that one, you got it for them.
and this person that knows Doc came to me and said, why don't you go swim in America? You're good enough, and that's where you're gonna progress, and that's where you're gonna achieve all your goals. And I said, yes, Doc Counsilman, Mark Spitz coach. You kidding? Of course.
And that's where we came together. So do you remember that time and how excited you were? Or what was it like when you were in France, knowing you were coming to the U.S.?
Well, I was so excited. I was beyond myself. I remember going to tell my French coach that I was going to leave. I was so happy, and he goes, "Well, if you leave, you never come back again."
Oh, so he was upset. He was losing his, great swimmer.
Yeah.
And there's lots of your personality that the coaches must just love too. So that's great.
Well, thanks, Dan. And because of this lady, she was an American, and I don't know, she had something in Morocco too. She came to my coach and said that she's gonna be able to assist us into getting to IU and getting to be coached there. And she wrote a letter to Doc and sent my times and my practices and my averaging sets and stuff like that. And he accepted me, and I was the luckiest person on earth.
So you actually got, it sounds like, people helping you get there.
Exactly.
Right? And so they could see that you had a really great ability, and then they kind of helped you get over there. That was really nice of them as well. I had a similar experience to get to IU. It's funny, we were both converging kind of at the same time there.
Exactly.
It's amazing, right? It's interesting the way things work in life. And so we got there, and I remember this. I remember when you came in, because I think you came in a little bit after I came in or something like that. But I remember when I was in there, you came in, and I don't remember you being able to speak a lot of English at first.
No.
And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, within about 30 days, because you're a very social person, you love to talk to people and befriend people, and you're just very easy to get along with. And I remember within 30 days, it was easy to have a conversation with you. And I don't remember you being able to speak almost anything before. How do you do that?
Well, I came with like the knowledge of most of Bob Marley's songs and most of Bob Dylan's songs. So I used to pick the words like I would say, well, he said this in this song, and it's probably the right word.
And if not, right.
Bob Dylan said,
and if not, your personality just wins everybody over, and you just go anyway. That's amazing, because you didn't, if I'm right, you didn't have anyone here. You just came on your own. There was nobody, there was no family you were coming to other than Counsilman and this one, right? And you didn't know anybody here. You didn't have anybody to help you. And you just got up on your feet with no language skills.
No.
The thing that you had was swimming, and you integrated into one of the top teams in the world, became a tremendously valuable asset there. And I can't imagine how proud, because I remember your dad came over to visit, and I unfortunately I wasn't there, so I didn't get to meet him, and I always wanted to, but I can't imagine how proud your dad must have been that you literally traveled the world, right? Which I'm guessing, I don't know if a lot of people from your area travel that as much as you do, but I mean, you've been to Hawaii, you've been to all over the world with this swimming that you built yourself. I mean, there was no swimming in your family before, right? It was just you. Your family wasn't swimmers, anything like that, or?
My sisters swam till the age of 12, and then the chlorine and the hair and the big shoulders. We didn't like that.
My sister always claims that she was on the swim team before me, and I think she was on there for a couple of days, and then I joined or something like that. But that was really interesting. Wow, fantastic.
My background, my family, my dad, my mom, my sisters, everybody in the family is like from sports background. We've done many sports. I myself, before starting swimming, my dad was putting me in every sport, so he sees where I'm gonna be best. Done soccer, done basketball, done sailing. What else? Anyway, and it's swimming that got picked because that's the sports I liked most. Actually, when I was sailing, I would always tip over the boat so I can get a swim at the end. And for that, they wouldn't make me pass to the next level of boats because you have to be serious and not tip over when there is no reason to tip over.
I can see the amount of just thinking about people that come from another country to here by themselves like you did with no English skills. I can see why so many of them become successful, because they're so brave to start with. Otherwise they would have stayed at home, but that takes a lot of bravery to walk into a place.
Brave.
You can't ask for anything. Where's the bathroom? It's not, just maybe you learn a couple words before you get there. That's it. Amazing what you did. So let me just ask you this one here. What skills are important for being a successful swimmer in your mind, in what you've done? Just if you were summing up like 2 or 3 things that you're like, wow, that would be really important.
Well, other than the usual hard work and all rigorous and determination and everyday work, that's like the basics of it. You gotta be modest. You gotta have a team spirit. I think modesty is the most important aspect of a successful athlete.
Well, you certainly have that.
Believing in your coach is the next best thing. I mean, a total belief in the coach is the next best thing. And this, as a coach, I had a hard time finding kids with the same profile.
Yes. Yes, it's not right there. They're few and far between the ones that are not only talented but also willing to work. Because you get a lot of talented swimmers. We say there's a dime a dozen, right? Because you get a lot of talented swimmers that aren't willing to really. They don't have the drive. They don't have the push for it. But to go to another country, not knowing the language, and make that trip, and to have that set mindset and that drive is really impressive. And
But let
also,
me tell you something, John. I've done the same thing when I left to France, and the experience wasn't as positive as the American experience. I mean, the integration into the American team and into IU, into the program, and how great I was. People behaved with me, and how friendly were the swimmers. I mean,
we all love you.
I didn't believe it at first. I kept my distances. I was like, this is too much. No,
Yeah,
no, this must not be real.
we
But
really enjoyed
about 3, 4, 5 months of this same treatment, I realized I just for real, and it was great. I mean, it wasn't this way in France, but what was in France gave me the power to be
right.
really
It's
good.
kind of like a jumping off place, and wow,
There
that's
was a lot of. It was very hard in France. First, I was younger, and I needed my folks a little more than when I was in the States, and there was some racial issues. I mean, that was really hard for some, a Moroccan star to come and don't feel comfortable in an environment he not used to never feel comfortable. He's always felt comfortable for being what he was, and
and so
and that was
where did you feel that in the U.S. or you felt that in France or both?
in France. In France, that's what I meant. Like the
Uh,
integration in the US was so good that it helped me really open up and do much better.
oh yeah, because I was hoping. Well, I didn't see any of that, and I'm glad I didn't because I wouldn't have taken that too well. Because you and I go way back.
Yeah, it was, but that negative side. I lived in France, kind of gave me a special powers to rise to beat everyone.
Got it. Interesting. And yeah, I'm glad that you had a great experience with us because everybody there that I know of just really enjoyed you. And
Oh,
you're,
and I felt like being not in a team. I felt like being with a bunch of friends and family.
yeah, that's
It
the
was
way.
actually it was unbelievable for someone that comes from the environment where I came from in Paris.
And I thought in the Indiana, specifically in the Indiana team, it was very accommodating. Like me too, because I was from, Maine, and again, there's a lot of guys from Indiana, from Midwest, and I wasn't part of that because I was a military brat, so I moved all over my whole life. And going out there, I didn't have my family with me, right? And I think you and I almost became kind of like family pretty much at this point.
Yeah, well, we were family. Come on, we were brothers.
We actually lived together too, right? For years.
We lived a lot together, but more than a couple of years.
Yeah, and then we we went and we roomed together when we were in I think Puerto Rico and when we were out in
Hawaii.
Hawaii, right? And just had a wonderful time. Yep. And
Great work, and hardest work I ever done were in these two countries.
yeah, right. That was quite something.
Exactly.
So what's something that you look back on your swimming career and you feel like you're most proud that you did?
Well, I always been very proud of my African records, and especially it's their longevity. I mean, they lasted for like 9 years, and each year I was like happy it's not there yet, it's not done yet. So that was an achievement I'm very proud of.
Got it. Just taking a look because I know we talked a little bit about this right now, but I'd like to just delve a little farther into it. In your personal philosophy in life, because I know, we all have the hard times, things like that, but you bring out the best in people around you. And I had another fella on a little while ago that I swam with in college in Pittsburgh. And you too really you tend to light up the room. You keep things happy all the time. How do you do that? I mean, it's not that you don't have problems, right? I know you've had many challenges, especially not too far back in the last few years. You lost your wife and things like that, and all these incredible things, and you still are just bouncing along at all times, and you try to make everybody happy around you. How do you do that?
Well, like you say, what's your philosophy? Well, my philosophy is treat others like you wanted to be treated. And I like to be treated so nicely and so well that I have to do it. I have to be like that. So maybe I'll get some back. and I'd like to also share my philosophy as a swimmer. I mean, to be successful, you need to work hard. I mean, working hard, doing workouts at 85 and even 90% intensity and effort every day, a couple times, twice a day, it's really hard. Very, very hard. But my philosophy is doing 110 and 120 is just as hard. It's not any harder.
That's a great point. You know what? I totally agree. It doesn't matter if you're going 90% or 110. You're putting it out there.
You hurt.
Might as well get the benefit of the higher one.
I'm gonna get hurt. Might as well.
Right. Get something in repayment on it.
Exactly. I want good times. I want good average in my set.
Yeah. So what would you like to use your swimming in life to do?
Well, actually, I've done it.
I was going to say, you've kind of done a lot with it, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I wanted to give back what I got. So I coached. I actually had my job and I coached. I volunteered my time to coach. I coached my hometown team and I gave back and taught people the right way, give them the right advice, help them become better swimmers.
I can't imagine in the area you're in and in the amount that and what you can give back to the kids in that region. It must be phenomenal, because you're coming in with all your background from what you learned in France from that coach. Then you went over and you swam for Counsilman. And you came back. You're the best athlete of all Africa, and they've got it right in their hometown with you. That's amazing to me. And in addition, you're also doing it as a volunteer to give back to the community that was. And then because you were a very successful restaurant owner, I saw your restaurant, really high-end, beautiful stuff. I remember you used to cook in the house, and it was, man, the whole house smelled like it smelled like a restaurant in a good way. It was great.
Yeah, I remember when you would get in and have all those smells, like, oh my God, Mohamed is cooking.
Oh, I've got steak on a horse today. You had all kinds of stuff that I'd never heard of.
You didn't like the smell of fresh French fries. You guys, French fries. You guys like those French fries in a pan in the oven, and I like my French fries from the potato to the oil.
Right. Wow, you were.
I used to stink out the house. I mean.
Got it. So back to swimming for a second here. So what are some of the most challenging sets that you ever swam in practice that you can remember? And maybe like what was your emotional mindset?
I will never forget those test sets of the 100 starting every 4 minutes.
Right, those lactate sets, or right? You got goal sets.
Oh my God, those are a killer. I mean, I never suffered in my life and we used to do that regularly, like once a month or twice a month, if I recall, and we would know the day.
Right, and you almost like
it was like a swim meet. I mean, you would stress. I mean, you stress until
right
because of that set.
Normally like 1,000 yards or something like that, right, total, and you'd have these long rests in between. So you had this great expectation of having performance on every one of the 10 100s or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and we would race to the best average. I remember in Puerto Rico, I had the best average, 54.3.
Wow, amazing. And I remember I actually was racing we did one, there was 2050s, which 50 was kind of what I
Yeah,
love to do, right? 2050s.
that one hurts.
And it was like on 2 minutes, right? And I was
Yeah.
doing breaststroke. And I remember there was a guy next to me that this guy, I never wanted him to beat me no matter what. I'm not going to mention his name, but I didn't want him to beat me no matter what. And I was exhausted. I felt like I was, like passing out. And then I look over at him, boom, I did go again. And
Was his name initials SB?
No.
No, not the SB guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so what was really good was he was there to annoy me in the way I looked at it, and I just wouldn't let him beat me no matter what. So out of the 20 of them, and then I had him on one side, and I had Billy Matthews, who later became a Navy SEAL, was phenomenal, and we were just beating each other up. And I ended up like doing one of the fastest sets of all time, because it was not so much Billy, because Billy was, he was just real, but this other guy who I didn't wanted to beat no matter what. And it kept me thinking, like, I'm going to get him. Okay, so tell me about who are your inspirational sources in the swimming world, and people that really, you looked up to and you said, I'm going to be like that. Was there anyone like that, or was it just you kind of your own hero?
It was. There was this Tunisian guy. It's an African. Tunisia is right next to Morocco. And he held the African record in 400, and he realized that record when he won the gold medal in the 400 in the Mediterranean Games, where there are Italians, French, and all those good countries, Spain, and all that. And he, as a Tunisian, well, he didn't go to school. That I remember knowing. He just swam twice a day, and that's all he did. But anyway, he's got the African record, the Mediterranean gold medal. That was I wanted to get there, and
you did, and it sounds like
years exactly. But what's great about it is, like, I went to Tunisian national championships, and he wouldn't come to race the 100 because I was there. He wouldn't come to race the 200 because I was there. He wouldn't come to race the 400 because I. But he tried me on the 50.
Okay.
But he beat me. I was in the 50 swimmers. I
remember you were really great in 200 when you're in Indiana, right? There was a lot of 200 freestylers, but and it was interesting. I always remember one thing in the water when I see you swimming, the way you moved your hands on the pressure fields, you were just incredible. You got such a grip on the water that when you pushed off, like, see you later.
True.
Right?
True. I still do, but now it hurts my shoulder.
Yeah, let's see. Show us those hands there. Show me your hand like that.
They're not that big, but they know how to compress the water. That compression that comes from that. Oh God, it's so beautiful.
And you were so good at it, and it's amazing to see. Mohamed, how tall are you? Like in
5'11".
About 5'11". So you and I are almost. Got it. You and I are almost the exact same height, and there were guys that were a lot taller than you there, and lots, like big muscles and everything else, like great muscles coming out of their eyebrows, right? Remember John King had, right? He had muscles everywhere, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking about him.
Yeah, he's big, like, right, just an Adonis type of guy. And you were beating just anybody that came up. You were like, yeah, just amazing, fantastic.
Yeah, that was an everyday challenge, and I would treat every workout like a swim race. It's like when I go to workout, I'm stressed. I know it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be hard. I'm gonna hurt. I'm gonna die. Every damn workout.
And he'll talk to you like that in practice, just so you know, too. I don't think I'm gonna die, and then he just goes and swims another one that's better than that one.
And exactly. And how did I do that? I was gonna die and I did better.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go. Oh, yeah, it was amazing. So when you're dealing with, and I know you went, like you said, and you're coaching and work with swimmers. So when you're dealing with an exceptionally talented swimmer, like yourself, that can do things that people just don't expect you to be able to do. And you've got that in every aspect of your life, the achievements that you make, from looking at your restaurant to how you, over got over to the U.S. and did that, right? You've lived an amazing life and done all these incredible things. When you went to the African Championships, all these things. So when you're dealing with an exceptionally talented swimmer, how do you balance his or her personal success with team goals?
Well, I had this case happen in my coaching journey, and there always is one or two special swimmers in the team, and to be able to coach the team and those individuals, you need to use some tricks and some thinking. And it's like, and give you an example. It's like if the rest of the team, I want them to swim 100. The talented swimmer will have to swim 125 or 150, and they will start on the same start, and they would get exactly the same workout I intend for one and the other. Mm. It's like they could be doing 50s two strokes when the rest of the team is going to be doing freestyle, and they all leave at the same time and have the same rest. And you manage it so you always give those talented swimmers their share without leaving the team.
The kids, right?
And actually, my philosophy is they all have the same importance to my eyes. I just have to be good enough to take care of all of them. But the best ones are not my favorite. They're my favorite. All of them, they're my favorite.
Yeah. So you give, and my mom years ago used to tell me this. She said, my sister got something and I didn't get it, and I said, oh, that's not fair. And she said, I try to give my children what they need when they need it, and
exactly,
it's not equivalent, right? And I had a very, very dear friend of mine in Indiana University that I lived with, named Mohamed. And he said this to me, and I'll never forget. He says, "You Americans, we were all complaining. I told you this before, Mo." And he says, "You Americans are so funny," because I had said, "Hey, something wasn't fair." And he says, "You think that everything should be fair." And he says, and Mo told me, he says, "You know what? Do you think it's fair that I come from Morocco, and my family were kings at one point?" And he says, "Your dad, I don't think you come from kings." He said, "We don't." He says, "And your dad makes $100,000 a year, and my dad makes $14,000. Do you think that's fair?" And I said, "No." And he says, "What do you think is fair in life?" I said, "Well, things should be fair." And he goes, "Let me tell you, there's only one thing that's fair in life." And folks, if you learn this one, you get such a great lesson from Mohamed. And he says, the only thing that's fair in life, there's one thing. And he says that's nothing's fair. And that means nothing's fair for anyone. And he said, "John, when you learn this," and this is advice from, a guy that was second year
19 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, when you learn that there's nothing fair in life, that means that everything's fair, because nothing's fair for anybody. And he says, so learn to live life to win it. Do the best you can. Because
you're going to be on the winning side, and that's what's fair.
Yeah, and that's it. He says, just go after, do everything you can. And that was, I've told that story. In fact, I think it's even on our Discovery Center. The story of that I just was such a great lesson.
Thanks, John.
I taught that to kids all over the world. I've taught that to kids, and it came from you. And I really appreciate that lesson. With 19 years old, you had that incredible insight. So. And there's a lot of other great lessons that I learned, and some wild lessons, as we know. but yeah, we definitely had a good time together.
Sure did.
And and let me ask you just one last question, because I could go on for all day, and I think both.
Yeah, we could.
Yes, we do sometimes, but
but it's very agreeable anyway.
Oh my God! So Mohamed and I sometimes will stay up till the middle of the night. I don't know what time he's on. He doesn't know what time, but we're going back and forth, just texting each other, just like we're talking. It's just a great time. And sometimes I think it's like 4 o'clock in the morning for you or something.
Exactly. And if it was, we never stopped.
That's right. It just, you get in the room and it's like we never were apart at all. But so here's the question. What do you think America, why do you think America has been so successful? Excuse me, I'm going to say this again. Why do you think America has been so successful in swimming compared to other countries? And I just want to say something before you answer that. Is I remember years ago, I wanted to find out because California was at the time having such success with their swimmers, and I was working out in Ohio, so I decided I was going to go out to California and coach a team, and I wanted to find out why they were so successful. And I think I found out, I'm not sure, but I think there's a lot of pools that are outdoors in California. Every high school, you know, or not, lots of high schools have pools, things like this. So pools seem to be much more readily available than if you have to put a building over them and heat them. So they had them all year round. So a lot of the kids that normally would be playing like football or something like this actually were swimming. And so you've got a bigger pool of athletes that like to enjoy the water, and they're right on the coast. So and I found that I felt like that was it more than they just have more talented swimmers or, you know, better coaching. I think it was really more just access to more athletes because the athletes were more likely to swim. So what do you think about in America? It's been so successful in swimming. Why do you think that?
Well, like you just said, well, I think America is the country where there's the most pools in the world. Like the concentration of pools in America is higher than any other place in the world. That's for one. And like having, like you said, California, warm climate all year round, you're probably one of the countries that started working out all year round. One of the first countries to have started that. That's for true. But the biggest and the most important part is your schooling system. Your schooling system allows you to be the best in swimming, not only in swimming, but in all sports, because of your schooling system gives you a planning, you know, that usually end around 3:30, and then you have plenty of time to work out any sport, to have plenty of time to succeed in any sports, and swimming also.
How does that differ? Can you give us a window into how that differs here? Because we can't from Morocco.
Well, from Morocco, from Europe, our schooling system doesn't allow us to get out of school early enough to be able to go work out. Like most schools finish at 5, maybe 6, and high schools 6 is often. So after that, you just have time to go home, do your homework, and have dinner.
And that was the same when you were a kid.
Yeah, that was the same. And well, in Europe now they have special high schools for special sports people, or they have like special sports high schools. But the system is not yet general. It's still for the few.
So it's very selective as to who can access that. So we have so much access to so many athletes, and they all have opportunities, and you guys didn't. So in Rabat, how many people are where you live in
it's 2.5 million people.
Okay, and I don't know if you know this, but how many pools are around the area that you know of?
Well, when I was a kid, it was like 2, and now they're like 20.
Okay, so
that's not much.
Major difference than before,
but they're not all dedicated to sports, swimming as a sport. Now, on those 20, you will find 6 dedicated to some swimming.
So it was really amazing that you got that opportunity, that kind of met you, and you met the opportunity ready to go, and be able to compete and actually, first of all, practice, compete. Your parents were interested enough, right? All these things came together, and it's really it sounds like it had a tremendous impact on your life.
Oh, sure did, John. Without all, I mean, all those factors are important. Once when you add one to the other, it gives you the right picture and the right. I mean, you're in the right environment, and you can only do well.
Wow, amazing, Mohamed. I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Always a pleasure, as you know. I'll speak with you
Yeah.
a little bit later, and I just want to thank you so much. This is really helpful, I think, for everybody to see that last part. I think is going to be so valuable for people to understand like what we have as an opportunity here, and for others that want to go and get that type of training and all that you went through to get here. My hat's absolutely off to you. It's great.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And same here. It was a pleasure
And I'm
talking
hoping
to you and doing this interview. And hopefully it's going to be helpful on people.
Oh, I'm sure. I think we're going to be doing some more international athletes and international coaches, and at some point, possibly bringing some groups together. And we'd love to see like a comparison and contrast of how the different countries handled their athletics and things. That would be great if you wouldn't mind joining us again sometime.
Thank you, John.
Great. Thanks, Mo.
Okay, John.
Okay.
See you later. Probably talk to you later.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.